Hi, folks, and welcome to this series of three different topics we're going to discuss. It's going to be really interesting to have to see you look. And I have Derek Melber with me from ManageEngine.
Good to be here.
Welcome to Sweden
Thank you.
for the 10th time, I guess.
I think so. I come back
Yeah,
usually a couple times a
a
year.
couple of times a year.
Yeah.
Sure. You have been with us for a long time.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have you here back again. So, I mean, this series is going to be about 2019 security topics around Active Directory.
Yep.
And one of the topics that has been discussed for a long time now, not really a long time, but it's been there for a long time, but it's kind of bubbling and coming in. It's AI.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited about the innovative technologies that 2019 is bringing. Being in Active Directory for so long,
Mhm.
it seems like we haven't really had anything new and exciting. We had some technologies, but I really think that 2019 is unique. And AI is certainly one of those technologies. You just said it's been around for a while, but not really. It has been around
Yeah.
a really long time. And I think that not only is IT going to be able to leverage AI, but other verticals. But I think when we start looking at AI within IT and of course Active Directory,
Mhm.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's where do you think? Okay, so Active Directory is a huge thing. I mean, they have everything from GPOs to
Yep.
all of these kinds. Where do you think the AI will fit into Active Directory? I mean, it's an important one of the fundamental pieces today of the IT.
Yeah. So AI, from my view, and what I've already seen,
Mhm.
is going to be an extension of SIM solutions. So your security information and events are going to be now analyzed
Mm-hmm.
by AI. So the concept is that we have correlation, we have alerting, we have all of these awesome technologies in SIM solutions.
Hmm.
But one of the areas specifically related to um, uh, identity and access management is how do we get security information around known users? So users that we put in Active Directory. How do we know that they're doing something good or bad? And this is really where AI comes in.
That's actually because I've also been in the business now for actually a couple of years, but that's always something that has been. But like the user is always the weakest point that has been discussed for years. But how do you actually leverage
Correct.
that into the security? So it's really really interesting topic. So you actually think that this is the year where it start off, I guess.
It's truly amazing to see. So let me just give you an example,
Hmm.
right? So the part of AI that is in a SIM solution is called UBA, either user behavior analytics or user and element behavior analytics.
Oh,
Okay, the U is there for user in
uh-huh.
both. And it's the idea that we're looking through the volume of events
Hmm.
and we create a baseline of activity for a user. Okay, so let's say you're a user in my Active Directory environment, and you typically get to work and log on between 7:45 and 8 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and you typically log off between 4:45 and 5:15. So I'm creating a baseline for this, and I'm going to do this maybe for 30 to 90 days. So I create a baseline, and now the baseline is created, and as new events come in, related to your log on and log off. For example, let's say that you all of a sudden log on at 2 a.m. in the morning. Well, that's an anomaly. So it would be very difficult to look at this without AI because of the volume of information. So we're taking the SIM information that we've had for years
Yeah.
and we're just throwing new technology at it. And we can really look at log on, log off, log on failure. We can look at um, time, location.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have never logged on remotely before, and all of a sudden you log on remotely,
Mm-hmm.
that's an anomaly.
Ah.
We can look at access and files for volume. So a lot of companies are having issues with users downloading files and taking them. Well, if you normally access 50 files a day and then all of a sudden you access 1,000 files, I would want to know that.
That something is wrong.
Well, you have access to all 1,000,
but it's not normal.
But it's not normal.
Exactly.
And a normal SIM solution doesn't delineate between access. It delineates between failed access.
Yeah, just the event.
Just the event.
Exactly.
So you have access. I gave you access. But really, this is where AI can be leveraged in this area. And it's really cool to see, because now what we can do is we can group things together. So say, for example, you normally log on, as I said, around 8 o'clock in the morning, and you normally access 50 files. Well, what happens if you have 10 failed logons at 2 a.m., a successful logon at 2 a.m., and then you access 1,000 files right after that? I'm going to group all three of those together and make your account this high risk. And we can throw a risk score at that. So we can accumulate these concepts. It's really cool.
And here AD plays a central role.
It does. And honestly, any IAM, right? Identity and access management solution is going to play a role. So you're going to, specifically in my world, you can see this both on-prem Active Directory as well as in Azure Active Directory with this type of behavior.
Because that goes actually to the next point. Like, okay, so can you actually correlate both? Because what it looks like today is customers are kind of moving into a hybrid environment.
Yeah.
You're not really on-premise. You are towards the cloud, but Microsoft doesn't deliver the same features, the same functionality, the same flexibility as they do on-premise. So they live in a hybrid environment. Can you leverage this here, or do you think we'll stay in this hybrid environment?
So if we tie the concept of AI and UEBA to hybrid, we're really taking two amazing 2019 technologies. I'm not saying that either one of them are new for 2019.
No.
I just see them being implemented full force in 2019. And certainly UEBA is going to be in both because they both have events. But what I have seen as a major trend is this move to hybrid, specifically in my world of Active Directory is on-prem Active Directory and Azure Active Directory. And, Microsoft somewhat forced this on us because they had Office 365, and the only way to have Office 365 is to have Azure Active Directory. And so now you have organizations that I wouldn't say they're confused, but they're stuck because they want Office 365. They have to have Azure Active Directory. They have on-prem Active Directory, which they've had for 19 years.
Yeah.
And now they have two IAM solutions. I don't want two IAM solutions.
No.
AD Connect comes in, synchronizes, and now we have this hybrid environment.
Exactly. Because you might have old applications still leveraged from the on-premise Active Directory and not really. I mean, the newer applications might go and you can use the Azure Active Directory, but I believe there's a lot of customers still using old applications, which still needs to be optimized.
It's true. It's true. I was at a Microsoft event a couple of years ago, and there was a group of 500 server admins, and not one person said they were going to go to cloud only.
Yeah.
I see numbers from Microsoft, and Microsoft is saying, about 70% of Active Directory organizations are going to be hybrid over the next 5 years. So in my opinion, if we look 5-10 years, we're hybrid. And the common theme is on-prem. On-prem Active Directory is the common theme.
Yeah.
So for all of you admins out there, what I'm telling you is don't throw away your 19 years of experience administering on-prem Active Directory. You still have that. You're still going to have that.
Yeah.
And what I would recommend is just look at Azure Active Directory, look at your cloud solutions as nothing more than another service, another app, another thing that extends from on-prem Active Directory, because we're not going to remove on-prem Active Directory. And we have spent years perfecting scripts and tools and ways to manage it, and there's no reason to throw that away.
No.
There's absolutely no reason.
Not yet.
So hybrid is just an extension, and keep administering on-prem
Mhm.
and let things replicate out. That's my best recommendation.
Yeah, because like the cloud, also the different parts of it. I think many admins has been kind of scared for the cloud also because they have this on-premise solution and they have their logs on-premise and they can have their log tool. They can search and scroll to the logs and they can save it for years. But
Right.
right now you're moving over here and suddenly you don't have anything.
No, it's much less.
It's much less.
Much less.
And you're dependent on the cloud service to provide you with
Right.
that information. If there is no API and if we can't get these logs, it's just good luck to call Microsoft and say, there was something strange that happened in
Yeah.
my cloud. Can you look it up for me? I think it's going to be kind of difficult.
It's going to be very difficult. I
Yeah.
mean, depending on which part of the cloud you're dealing with, some events are only stored for 7 days. And at maximum, I've seen 30 days.
7 days is, yeah, exactly. It's nothing.
30 days is a blip. So, my recommendation to admins out there is it's cool to have a new technology. It is. It's fantastic. Azure has changed a lot of the way that we deal with services and offerings, but you cannot ignore the fact that we have significant limitations. So again, I'm going to go back to the idea, take what we've learned from on-prem, utilize that, don't throw it away. And for example, if we can get a solution that allows us to gather our Azure Active Directory events, store them in a database, we no longer have a limitation of 30 days. I mean, and again, we're going to do that through an application. And it's just the same thing we've been doing. Just continue to do it and provide those services in the cloud.
Cool. Do you see any? But come back to the security part. Do you see anything? We all deal with passwords, for example.
Yeah.
Do you see any change using that now when we're moving over to the cloud? I mean, I've been seeing so many hacks going on, stealing information with password because in the cloud it's not just you. There's a lot of other customers, so if I would be a hacker, I would also go where I can find mostly information. And password is kind of the weak link. We talk about UEBA, we're talking about the person with the weak link. Don't we really have to do anything here?
Yeah. Passwords have always been a weak link, always. And if we really think about the fact that we have moved from on-prem, right, where our domain controllers are behind firewalls, they're isolated, and now we have domain controllers. Not really. Well, you have your domain, your Azure Active Directory enterprise out on the internet. So now the attackers can go after any account, and they do. I was at Microsoft Ignite a couple of years ago, and Microsoft threw up, and I think the number was 4 billion. They negated 4 billion authentication requests in 1 month.
1 month.
1 month. So we're the scale now
Yeah.
is astronomical. So you're correct. The password is even more vulnerable now than ever before. And
yeah, it feels like that.
It is.
Yeah.
And the solution is multi-factor authentication. And we've been talking about multi-factor authentication for the last 15 years. But the problem is we've been always going to bio. It seems like you go to smart cards or biometrics. But now everyone has their phone, right? We always have our phone with us.
Yeah.
We have access to email. We have access to text messages. And the world is already educated on this. My grandma's educated on this. Children are educated on this. Everyone is already educated.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these, like, let's call them personal services, or with Gmail, or they all kind of push for some type of two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
Because they know that the leverage of security to move that, it's just significant higher.
Yep.
Let's just face it, it is, and it's the services that they serve today. It's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
It feels like back in the days was kind of difficult to
It
say.
was.
It would you have to have a large infrastructure to manage certificate.
Well, you
Well,
it's
you
the
might,
perfect storm. We really are meeting at the perfect storm. And what I mean by that is that we do have everyone having a device that can receive a code.
mm-hmm,
Everyone has a phone to receive a code.
mm-hmm.
So that now is solved. And companies don't even have to provide the phone. You can use your own phone.
Yeah.
You know, you bring your own device.
Nice.
So now we have that device. We have the technologies other than smart cards and whatnot that now we can push through whatever we want to use, whether we want to use some authenticator, whether we want to use SMS or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many different opportunities, and now we mush them together, and we can almost eliminate passwords. I don't think we're ever going to eliminate them, but they're going to become zero factor, which is what Microsoft has already done.
Yeah, we scale it down.
Microsoft employees today do not have to change their password because they're all using multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, that's always been also discussion. Like change the password 3 times a year, 4 times a year. It's don't choose it too often. Don't do it less. You
Yeah.
know, there's no perfect thing here. You have to you have tried to find. Let's do it every quarter.
Yeah.
That's something in between. That's what we Swedish call lagom.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, a lot of
something
organizations are that is being driven by compliance regulations. Someone somewhere thought up the idea, the best way to make a password secure is you have to change it every 90 days or every 45 days. And the compliance regulation forced that number because the organization didn't want that. Because the one thing that is absolutely guaranteed is users are going to forget their password. Users are going to forget their password. It's just
that's just the way, and it's costly. It costs. It's extremely
so
costly. Like not just even for you as an admin to just restore the password or trying to do it. I mean, the loss of the workers not being able to do their work.
Yeah.
Just it's. I don't want to think about it, but I believe there is scales for that too. Someone had come up with idea about how much this costs, but I mean, so.
But I think if you let's start. I love building blocks, right? So now let's take the building block of hybrid and the building block of passwords and put them together. And now we have an issue because now users have more passwords. We always had a trouble on-prem. They couldn't remember one.
Exactly.
And now they don't have one.
Everyone was looking.
10.
Yeah, everyone was looking for, and now you have different services. One is for the Google, and we use this service for our for logging into Office 365. We use this service for the marketing tool, and you have
HR, finance.
Exactly.
You know, I have, in order to go see how many days of vacation left, I have to log into the HR system. In order to see my payroll stub, I got to go into this system. In order to get to my files, I Dropbox and I go to this system. If I want to do a PowerPoint presentation, I have to go to Office 365, this system. And they all have a different username and password. So synchronization is vital.
Yeah, it's vital.
And we as organizations, we as IT must help the user. We have to.
They have to.
They're overwhelmed. They were overwhelmed with one password.
Exactly.
And now they have no chance.
Yeah, and they have their own tools. They have their Gmail, their Facebook, their Instagram, their LinkedIn profile. They have their
all of it. So we have to help them synchronize that.
Absolutely.
And
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So I think really those are some awesome technologies. I mean, I'm really excited about all of those. And I think they do intertwine and meet. And I think I've already seen lots of hybrid in the different events that I've done already this year. And I really think that it's just going to continue to grow.
Perfect. I think that will be the end word for Erik. Thank you, folks, for watching this video, and just check out for new ones coming up. Thank you so much.